Kinda. Alright, now, for those looking for a more in-depth answer, let's begin going over the facts. Ark Survival Evolved is a game that set a precedent for future dino survival games, and survival games in general. It was an experience that, while buggy in a lot of areas at times, was constantly being updated and worked on to improve its gameplay, as well as user experience. A ton of free maps were created. In fact, there are more free maps than DLC ones. All created by its community. A community that I believe is still one of the best parts of Ark. Especially the community servers. We received more dinosaurs and fantastical creatures, which also were in most of the new maps. And most of these were community created. Except for, of course, the paid DLC ones. If you wanted PvP, there was that. PvE, there was that. And of course, your own single-player or co-op worlds. There was that too. And like I said, tons of special community-made servers. The biggest problem in Ark, to many, was not only the hackers or meshers which plagued servers sometimes. The toxic exploiters, players, and even tribes who would pillar off areas and cause havoc, as well as alpha tribes who would basically make the game hell for casual players and official. Not to mention the dozens of bugs that have been in-game since release. But there was also the members of WILDCARD's Chinese parent company, Snail Games. There are documented cases of higher-ups from Snail Games' team using admin commands in servers to cheat and even kick or ban players that were innocent, such as the infamous T-Tribe. I could talk about that constantly. In fact, if you want more history of Ark, I have a massive video from last year detailing most of the history of Ark's development. I don't remember if I talk about Snail Games too much, but I do talk about a lot of controversy. So, there you go. Ark 2 was originally going to be the next game that WILDCARD made. We were teased, even given lots of information regarding Ark 2 near the end of last year, but surprisingly, in an extremely quick time, Ark 2 was put on the back burner, and we were teased about Ark Survival Ascended. Ark, made with Unreal. It looked unreal. But it also immediately sent the community into frenzy. They were torn. Was this some kind of bad April Fool's joke? Why weren't we getting Ark 2 now? Why are you recreating Ark? And why is it a full-priced game? Why isn't it just an upgrade to Ark? The good thing is that they did at least lower the price to $45. And originally it was going to be bundled with Ark 2, but you also had to rebuy all the DLCs again. It was $40 though until November 1st for anyone wanting to hop in with a slightly lower price. And according to the early access description, the price will probably increase once all content is accounted for. So honestly, better to buy the game now or wait for a sale. Ark Ascended has not ascended our expectations. Yet. At least, depending on your PC and feelings toward Ark and the company. The game currently, at the time of recording, has only one map, the island, which has seen a complete overhaul to its landscape. And while the greater visuals and graphics look amazing, as well as the new cool UI changes and quality of life, you need to have a better PC to experience them at their greatest. It still looks fantastic on lower settings though. Not only that, but the game currently is somewhat unoptimized and a bit broken. It may change though, especially with the updates that they're constantly putting out. So take that for what you will. Not to mention, but because Ark Ascended only has the island at the moment, some of the achievements are currently impossible to complete, as they require the center to be beaten. I'm pretty sure it's just one achievement, but there you go. But now, enough rambling, let's actually get to listing off a bunch of improvements that the game now has within Ark Ascended. and then after we will go over the cons. Number 1, completely overhauled graphics. Ark Ascended is using the Unreal 5 engine, which is absolutely amazing, by the way. Number 2, a much better starting island map, which looks beautiful, by the way. So many cool little details and things they sprinkled in, and so much better. Number 3, all DLC, at least from what I've seen so far from on the About page, is to be included in this purchase. This means $45 for a game with all previous map DLCs, possibly excluding the new one they said they were working on before. Number 4, the amount of UI improvements and overhaul the buttons and keys and all sorts of tiny visual things. And on the topic of UI, more admin commands have been added and made easier to understand and better for creative players. An enhanced AI system that, from what I've experienced so far, is definitely way better than Evolved. There are still a few creatures that are a little weird, but most creatures, as of now, actually try to path to you, and the new pathing is extremely good for tames, but also scary for wild dinos. Now, I think this was in the mobile version, but Ark now has wild babies. Creatures seem to actually have babies that follow them around. And funnily enough, you can actually tame them and steal them from their mothers, but only after you defeat the mother. Sometimes you can just steal the baby right off the bat, but it's just a little weird at the moment. But it's pretty funny, but it's also a bit sad. Another thing revolving around babies is that they can spawn with mutations, which is pretty dang cool. Another thing that's new that's been added is the photo mode, which is honestly amazing for screenshots and cinematic photography. But also, I imagine this to be a little exploited to some degree in servers. I haven't actually used it in servers yet, so it may not be able to even be used, but in community servers it might be used, and if that's true, then this might be really exploited. So keep that in mind when making your servers and stuff. A much better character creator that allows for much more in-depth character creation, and in my opinion, mixed characters now look much more different, instead of everyone looking like a regular Bob or Jane, but just slightly different. The building system has been revamped, and including all of the positives from Homestead, and has streamlined the building process. They also have gotten rid of cables and pipes, meaning generators and piping of all kinds are now basically like the tech generator. Oh, and not to mention upside down slope walls and sideways pillars, which both have been a requested feature for like literally ever. Or at least to me it was. Another big thing is there's been an Unreal 5 dev kit released for modders, as well as cross-platform modding, allowing for PlayStation 5 and Series X players to have access to the same mods PC players will have. This, I think, is a great positive, but in time we will see just how good it actually is, as the game has yet to come out for PlayStation or Xbox, but it's slated for sometime either late November or early December. Maybe a good Christmas present. This one is mostly opinion-based, but there are no tech dinos in Ark Ascended yet. Just like when leading up to Extinction, they're probably going to release the tech dinos again during that time. Say what you want about them, I believe they fit. Anyway, the last thing is the ungodly amount of QOL changes that, quite honestly, it would take forever to talk about every single one at length. So instead, here is a video by Frayne, or Frayan, who talks about a lot of changes made. And even then, I still think there are way more. Some I'm still finding. Now, that is a lot of positives, as you can see. But now, for the cons. Greater graphics means worse performance on lesser systems, and even good systems. The recommended specs call for a 3080, For reference, mine is a 3070, and the footage you see here on the low preset setting. The game is unoptimized, and even a bit broken, but they already have released updates that have made it a bit more optimized every single time. Still though, the game crashes quite frequently, and would like it to be even better. And the game is also still buggy, including a bunch of bugs like the hit registration. Still, which is like kind of poopy, like majorly poopy. Hopefully they get most of these bugs fixed in Ascended instead of how they just left Evolved. All DLC is not currently available, and has been stated to be coming out over the course of about a year, so take that for what you will. There will also be another story-based DLC which will be released later, so you'll probably have to pay for that at a later date, I imagine. While the map design is very good, from what I've seen, I have already encountered places where you can get stuck in, such as this place during my first Ascended stream. I imagine things like this can be fixed easily. In fact, they've already fixed a bunch of meshing issues regarding the maps as well. But we will see in time. None of the skins you paid for from Ark Evolve, such as the Bionic skins, nor the ones from achievements, I'm pretty sure, are not currently present in the game. Please correct me in the comments though if there are, and I just haven't seen them yet. This is a big one for anyone that likes playing unofficial, but there is no speed leveling anymore. The days of running at Mach Jesus away from that Giga, or even escaping a ton of raptors, is no more. At least unofficial servers. Because you can actually just turn on the setting in server settings, which is good, but on official servers, have fun running at normal speed. Which they seem to have made a bit faster. Speaking about official servers, at the moment, if official servers are your bread and butter, many of the servers crashing, resulting in lost progress on most of these servers. Now, of course, they are working on it, so maybe wait for a bit before you get into the game, or simply play on your own little single-player server. Another thing I'd like to bring up is the idea of paid mods, which eventually, apparently according to WILDCARD, will be coming in the future. Now, these will be, I'm guessing, much more worth it in terms of them actually being paid for, but at the same time, there are a ton of free mods that you can get. Really depends on what your feelings are toward that. And finally, one of the biggest issues that thankfully have been amended, but still I'm going to say it here, just so that you know the history of it. Server hosting was originally only able to be done through Nitrado, which asked for an exuberant amount of money per month to host your servers. However, while Nitrado is still the only company you can host servers through at the moment, they have lifted the DRM on Ark Ascended and allowed anyone to host their own servers through their own PC or hardware. This also means the return of console-hosted servers once Ark is out on console, I hope, which is very good. But yeah, more of a positive than a negative now. But anyway, there you go. There's probably a bunch more that I haven't covered here, but that's just a bunch for you to get an idea for what they have here. But as you can see, Ark Ascended has a lot. It has a lot of bugs, just like how Ark Evolved did, and I imagine a lot of performance issues that will continue to be worked on. Now, to answer the question, is Ark Ascended worth it? If you are someone who owns a PC that is below minimum or even at minimum specs, I would say no. The game requires a somewhat good PC, and they probably should update that or try to optimize it the best they can so it actually does work on the lesser PCs much better without a huge graphical hit. This game is very much a good experience, but if you don't have a somewhat good PC, I probably would just wait until the game is further optimized and or until you obtain a better PC. Now, for those who have a good PC and like Ark, I would say this game is in fact worth it. If the devs stay true to their word and release all original DLC for free, fix most of these crashing issues, both server side and game side, then this is 100% worth it. From the better building, the UI changes, the general quality of life, just so much more. There's so much this game does right. And it seems that WILDCARD is at it again, at trying to listen to its community. They want to get this game right, and they don't want to displease their fans. Even though the postponement of Ark 2 kind of did pee a lot of the community. Although, I think the main reason they did this was to fund Ark 2 even more, and also so they could work on it even more. But if that's not it at all, then it's because of Snail Games. Because Snail Games is an extremely greedy company. Not WILDCARD, Snail Games. Anyway, enough. You've heard my side of the game, what I think about it to some degree, and I imagine you have an answer you were seeking. If you don't, and or are still iffy on buying in so early, let me try to calm that feeling by just saying this. Ark Survival Evolved was such an amazing part of my life. Playing on official servers and playing on my own custom servers with friends. It led to some of the best moments and the most fun I've had in a game in general. And if WILDCARD is giving us basically a remake of this beloved game with a lot of features that have been reworked and made better, to me, it is worth it. Even if I don't play it as much as I used to, Ark will forever be in my heart as a game that I grew up playing. It gave me such amazing experiences. The first time I awoke on the beaches of the island, laughing at funny things or bugs that happened, crying at the loss of one of my beloved dinos, conquering tribes or befriending them, and even celebrating the defeat of a boss. Ark has so many experiences that this game seems to want to recreate. And if you want to relive some of those memories, and or experience them again with even better visuals, then yes, Ark Ascended is a game that you should get. Anyway, I love you all. Stay safe. Know that you matter and are valuable. And I'll see you.